Welcome back to the channel today, guys. We just got done unboxing the water pump for the car, but for this one we're going to be going over the starter. So with the 302 motor, we didn't quite have the starter. I don't think we had it shimmed correctly, and the little bracket we had on the run stand, basically it kind of chipped off these teeth, and it didn't matter really like what I did, it just wouldn't quite line up right. So we had to get a new starter. So getting a new starter, I knew that I wanted to do some type of upgrade. I didn't want to go too crazy. I was looking at doing some of the mini starters and things, but after I talked to the guys at JEGS, they actually said that this one is a very recommended one. For the price point, it was about $50-ish cheaper. I guess it was on sale at that time, so a little bit cheaper than some of the mini starters. And you can apparently like clock this housing, so you can bolt it in to where it needs to go here on the flywheel, and then you can clock this housing kind of to get it up and out of the way, which is really neat. And I really like the finish on this. This is like almost like a undercoating kind of finish on it, and it looks like it's pretty easy. So we have to do just the normal battery connection here, and then I guess an ignition wire connection. I'm not entirely sure if we need to do that because we do have a starter solenoid on the inner fender, and I do plan on using that. So I don't know if we'll have to make a little jumper from here to the ignition. I would assume that this probably does need power of some sort because obviously it's labeled to the ignition. So at the very least, I may have to make just a little jumper. But to be honest, I don't know exactly all I'm going to have to do there yet. So it's definitely lighter than the stock one. I can tell you that. That's for sure. It still has some heft to it and everything, but not bad. Looks like we have some wire over here that has a nice cover on it that I don't know really exactly what that does. Probably something from the module and turns this over or whatever. So we're gonna leave that alone. It didn't come off very easy. So yeah, I mean, this is about it, guys. This can be used for the automatic and the manual. Was it 153 or 7 tooth, and then whatever the other one is, I don't exactly remember. And with that, just sticking with the theme, I went ahead and bought ARP head hardware for this, guys. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I have been really happy with the ARP hardware. For some reason, it just seems better quality than some of the stuff that I've gotten down at my local home improvement stores. And don't get me wrong, I'll spring and I'll get the grade 8 and I'll get the gold stuff. I've tried some of the grade 5, and I've tried basically about everything. But for some reason, these threads, every time I've ordered these so far, I don't know if they're just cut a little deeper or a little bit better or what, but for some reason these just fit better. And I never have to worry about using a socket and ever like marring up the top of the heads themselves. And the fact that they're all hex flanged. I live in a kind of popular area. I guess it's kind of densely populated. So hardware is always kind of sporadic on what they have at the stores. And it's never very organized. And finding, this stuff here that actually has a flange head there is actually kind of difficult to find them and find the quantity that you need for the most part. So went ahead and ordered those, and that'll just kind of match everything else we're doing with the car with ARP hardware there. So don't really know much about this, honestly. I talked to the JEGS guys, and I was just trying to get a cheaper one. They had a mini starter on sale, but it wouldn't work with mine. It was like 80 bucks, so that's the one I actually wanted. But they said I wasn't sure if it would actually work, and they said in their tech sheets there it said it wouldn't work with the manual, only the automatic. So here's our little tech sheet we got for the starter itself. Looks like it's pretty easy. Cool. It has a whole bunch of different things. Looks like the starter can be rotated 360 degrees for clearance, and that looks like it's about it. Gear mesh. Make sure transition mounting points are free. All right. And that's pretty cool. It actually has some of the wiring that it recommends and everything on there for you, which is pretty cool. And kind of some troubleshooting things, how to test it, make sure everything is good. which is really neat. Apparently a test report, a graph, which, I mean, I'm not really going to look at, and to be honest, I can't even say this is probably for the starter. It could just be a generic one that they print off, but who knows? I've had the Power Master alternator, and so far, guys, the quality, the way things are packed, the way things have come, really no complaints there at all. So I believe everything that they got here, and I'll actually be looking these over. So we won't be getting around to installing this one for a little while, guys. We gotta get the transmission in the car, which means you know, when you get the old one out, we gotta get the motor in. We got a lot of other things going on, and as much as I would love to mount this outside of the car, I just don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know if I'll be able to get my car up high enough in order to jack the engine with the transmission mated and actually get it inside the car. So if that can't happen, I'll have to put, you know, the transmission underneath the car, bring it up, and then get everything aligned. So this one's gonna go back in the box for now, but hopefully in a week or two, depending how much work I can get done with everything, we can get this guy in there. It also did come with a little spacer here. I guess that goes here if you need to change the angle, just to make sure that the teeth and everything are actually correctly aligned. I imagine this is kind of universal, I'd guess. But it looks like you could actually rotate this, 360 degrees. And from my understanding, just a quick look, I think it's these two bolts right here, these Allen key bolts, and then they get retorqued down to 50 foot-pounds. So I'm assuming it's those ones, and then you could, you know, move all this around. Looking right off the bat, I already think I'm gonna do that, knowing that it's gonna go in the car. However, you know, in the car, and it's gonna be going, let's see, kind of like that as it sits in my car. So I already know that these are gonna be towards the engine block side. So I'm thinking I'm gonna turn those. But they make it easy enough. We'll address that when we get there. It won't be for a little while. So, guys, we'll update you when we do get the starter, and that'll be a couple weeks. So, we'll update you then. Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, as you can see, we no longer have a motor in the shed. It's installed. I did that off camera, and same with the transmission. After getting stuff done, it was just wanted to put my head down, kind of work. Done a lot of that stuff before. And then essentially, the last video we put on the flywheel, clutch, pressure plate. So the last thing we had to do at that point, as I mentioned, was just lift it up and then connect the actual transmission bell housing and everything to the motor. Oh wait, we had another video in there where we did the hydraulic master slave on the actual bell housing and modified all that stuff I was supposed to from modern driveline. So went ahead and installed that off camera, and now we are on a freak day where we're like, I don't know, about 70 degrees here in November, and we need to get a starter in there. So I've been working on getting a lot of things connected. We put a new coil in, we got some stuff routed. I'm currently waiting. I had to switch my master cylinder, brake cylinder over from the outer side of the car to the inner side because it just would not work. So we're waiting on some parts for that. And you know, I can go ahead and start the car without the brakes and everything. So we are going to try and get everything done. Those new brake pieces should be in hopefully tomorrow, and then we can hopefully get this thing out on the road this weekend. But until then, we got to keep moving and get everything else going on. So we picked up a new starter, guys. If you guys remember, whenever I was starting some of the motors inside my shed, I accidentally, I didn't have the pinion for the starter gear like length set correctly, and that was due to this bracket that I had here from Summit, and this is now my doorstop. So this bracket is just it has to be pretty thick, that way it can actually support the weight of the stockpile starter. But you can see it chipped off all the teeth and everything, and this was a relatively nice, good starter. So next time I do that, I'm gonna have to space it out probably a little less with these washers and everything. Again, I kind of guessed when I was working on the 302 and the flywheel, and I think actually the flywheel the guy gave me technically wasn't maybe the right one. Whatever. Anyway, we got the engine of the starter a long time ago. So anyway, I know I need to upgrade my starter. You guys are probably some routine viewers can see I have another one down there. That is one that I actually got from the guy. He said it works, but you know, I didn't even want to mess with it. I said, you know, if I'm going this far, I'd rather just buy a brand new one, and I can keep that one to test out that build down the road, and then use that one there. We got a Power Master something tough stuff starter, and the reason I got this one is it was actually on sale on Jags, and they had a more generic one that wasn't a power starter, and it was less than $100. And when I contacted them, I was like, hey, will this fit a manual transmission? They said no, but they recommended this one. This one I think was about twice that, a little less than twice. But this is the one, after talking to the associates at Jags, you know, they're like, this is the one that is, you know, the one you want. So I don't know. I think starters, I don't know if I'll gain much out of this kind of starter, but we'll see. Anyway, so the starter, I do like the fact that it is black and has kind of this truck beddy kind of undercoating material on it. I do like that. It did come with this gear here, this little spacer, so we can go ahead and space that out appropriately. The starter gear if needed. Of note, after looking at a lot of the guys online who've done this, I don't think we're gonna have to do that. And then I went ahead and ordered new hardware. Guys, I'm a huge believer in ARP hardware. After going through this motor, and the guy had the vast majority of stuff was ARP. Everything I've done after that, I've added ARP hardware, and something about it, it's just different. I don't know why and why I like it so much, but it definitely is worth it. It's just very pricey. I don't know why. Whatever they do with it, it's just nicer. I haven't stripped anything out. All the heads have been perfect. The lengths on everything have been just awesome. All the threads have gone right in. I've had zero issues with anything. It's been awesome. So I spent a little money on these. These are the starter bolts. This is keep in line with everything, but trying to do this one right this time. Another thing about this guy, which is good, it did come with a dyno, like little spec sheet stuff. I don't know if that's really true or accurate. It probably just is generically used, change the date on it. But this one you can clock in any orientation, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, you can undo these two bolts right here, and then you can orientate everything on the way that you need to. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and get this out to the car. I was going to see if I could sneak this in there with the header on. I just put the header on right now, and it was like, oh, I have a couple bolts on the header on. I should see if I can sneak the starter in there before. That way I can do it from above. It's just so much easier now with less things in the way. So we're actually going to change gears and actually go to that and put in the starter. That is the plan for tonight. So I will note that I'm going to play around a little bit here, but essentially it's going to go in the car this way, which means all of our wiring and everything is going to be on the inside towards the block. So I already don't like that, but we can clock everything. And I might be able to turn it even upside down, which I'm not opposed to doing that either. I think it bolts in kind of like that. So we'd have this blue boot here, which has pretty heavy duty looking boot here. So we're gonna go in the car, guys, and we're just gonna have to see where it kind of lands. I will bring you guys out there right now. We're gonna take off the header real quick, and we're just gonna try and orientate stuff. Open up the hardware to kind of hold this piece in, and then we'll probably end up having to rotate all this. But yeah, so far, I mean, quality looks, I mean, good. No issues there. There it is. This thing's pulling out nice and easy. It is a little bit different for the wiring. So we have a battery and ignition. Some research I've done online, it looks like because we are using the actual solenoid on the fender, basically we'll run it to just the battery side, and then we just jump that terminal from the ignition to the battery, and you are good to go. So that's how we're going to do it, because all my other stuff is already going to that solenoid, and I don't really want to change around too much until we redo like quite a bit of wiring on the Mustang itself. It's weird. This like coating here is already like rubbed off or something right in here. It's like super rubbery. I guess it didn't cure all the way right there, but I don't really care. That's not a big deal. We're going to bring everything out to the car with us, guys, and we're going to see kind of where everything lands. Alright guys, so we went ahead and got our new starter. After going through the directions, it it actually lays out that if you're using a Ford style starter, you can just make a little jumper. It recommends using 12 gauge wire. Also works great for this. Oh, okay, and just using a copper strap. So that's what we did. Went ahead and grabbed some wire that we had laying around. Got some 2 terminals on there. And now we're gonna get inside the car. Yeah, you guys will see what it looks like when I get it inside the car, because this one is tight. Even though you can clock it, it really just sucks. So let me get in the car and I'll show you guys where we ended up. And I don't know how long it'll last, but hopefully it'll be a good time. Okay guys, we're back under the car here. You can see I left one of my headers, and I have tri-Y headers. I think if I had shorties it'd be a little bit easier. But I just bolted 2 bolts on, one in the front and one in the back. And I know that shouldn't hit the transmission or anything. So essentially this is all the room we have to work with. And I have the cross member. It's been removed for quite some time now, so it is in my trunk. But for purposes of the starter, it's very large, so it really is kind of difficult to get up into place. We went ahead and started one of our bolts already, and the only way I can get this thing to fit is it has to kind of go in just like this, which means the wiring is towards the motor side, which, you know, not exactly the most thrilled about, but just is what it is. And we're still kind of close to the headers a little bit as well. I'll get this guy up in there and in place. And it is pretty much right there, I think. No. Like I said, getting wrestling this thing in there is honestly really not that fun. I don't remember if I rode this off Summit or Jags, but they said that this was one of the more common ones that people use, and it had one of the better reviews, and that it works for automatics and manual transmissions, which I don't know what the difference would be between those, but apparently there is. So it is what it is. All right. What's up, Joe? What's that, bud? Yeah. Trying to make one now to show people the stuff I've been doing, working on the car. What's that? Oh, good job. All right, so we got our bottom bolt in. Everything's looking good. This top bolt, guys, it's so freaking close. Like lengthwise and trying to get it in there, that it does make it a little bit difficult. So probably might have to even loosen that guy up. And this might be one of those you kind of feed one side at a time. There it goes. And hope that you can get it all in. Oh, come on. That top bolt with the header and the starter itself in the way. And that one's just really not good, not fun. Get as much as we can in by hand. As it is right now, I can't even get a wrench on it with the starter. There's just not enough room. So I really hope I don't ever have to remove this again, because it's pretty difficult if I do. This took about, well, I started last night and I couldn't figure out an orientation to even get it this close. So here we are. I really don't know what I'm going to do if I have to remove this. Kind of concerned about heat soak on the starter where it is. We're just gonna hope that is not a concern. Oh, good, we can finally get a wrench on that top starter bolt. What's up, Joe?
I'm done.
Okay, I'll be up there in just a minute to see it, okay? Okay, I'm tightening up my last 2 bolts. Not yet. Because I'm going to finish mine first and then we'll do yours. Okay. Alright, guys. That is locked in there. It is in place. It seems like everything is as happy as it can be. We actually have enough room here on this wiring, so we're actually getting up in there to do the wiring isn't going to be insanely difficult, but it's not going to be necessarily fun. And for the header, it should land right about there, so we have about 1 inch of room between the header and the starter itself. I may actually dent the header and try and push it out. Let me show you guys what we got though. Alright, 1 second, Joe. Let me finish this up. Oop. Okay, guys, so here's our starter. We got it in. As you guys can see, we do have a little bit of space between the oil pan and the starter itself, and this wiring is just this little loop that I made a jumper. Probably made it a little too long, but it is what it is, and once we get that tightened in, it should be fine. On the top side of the starter, I'm feeling up there. It doesn't feel like it's hitting the motor or anything, but actually, I don't think it's touching, but I mean, it's very tight on this top left side. Maybe we can see that from the front. And then the header, I just have a bolt for the front and the back, and I think it'll be right about there is where it'll land, kind of hold that tight. So we do have about 1 inch of room, 3/4 of an inch between the tightest point, which is right here, to the header. Let's see, hopefully the header, okay, so that's as close as the header could be, and we have just a little bit of room right there if it's all the way up. So I think the header fits more kind of like in there, which again gives us a 3/4 of an inch. It looks like it does clear the power steering, slave and all that as well. So we're bolted in, we are up, we are in. Let me get to the top side of the motor. We'll make sure things happy. Hardware was great as always. Yeah. Oh, we didn't need an inspection plate for this. Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. Let me jump back up there. Okay, guys. So there's a starter down there, and you can see if I push that kind of tight, I mean, we have just a tiny bit of room between the wiring solenoid here that came factory on the Power Master starter and the headers itself. So I think what I'm going to do is actually mark this header up, and what we're going to do is we're just going to dent in the header. So let me go grab a pen. I'll do that. We'll end up denting that header tonight. That way, I just, it's so close. I'd rather not have anything touching and be close. So, yeah, let's get that marked out, and then once you get dent in, I'll show you guys how we dented the header in and how we're going to paint it. And we'll get from it. So there's the starter. We are all in, guys. Everything is happy. We have no issues in terms of fitment. As you guys can see, we had to flip it all the way up in that orientation there. And unfortunately, the wiring that we're going to hook up to, the actual main starter wire, is going to be towards the oil pan side. Previously shown, we got probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches. Here, let me get under there actually. There's a good look, guys. We got a couple inches there. So we should be good to go. And then we flattened out the header on this portion here to get away from that blue wire. And we got about a finger or so above the starter where it's actually not hitting the top of the block either. So we're looking really good. And now we're gonna go ahead and put that header on and see kind of what we have. So here it is now with the starter on and the dented in pipe, mainly this portion right here. You guys can see I got about 2 fingers now from the most dented in portion to the tightest portion. Maybe kind of up towards the top, maybe about 1 or so. But typically this guy was almost touching, it was kind of coming in where my finger is here. And I mean, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so really in between here. So I dented it essentially from here on the header, kind of all the way up to right around in here, probably a good about 6-inch section or so. And I just kind of dented that in, repainted everything. And yeah, as you can see, we have plenty of clearance now. Really pretty good to go all the way around, happy with it. Now, if I ever have to remove this starter, oh geez, it's just not going to be fun, and it's probably going to require taking off the header, just because there's just no room at all. So at least the header and probably that crossbar, potentially. I don't remember if the crossbar feeds up through here. It looks like it does. It goes up, probably up through there. So probably at least the header. Yeah, I mean, you might be able to get it, but man, it'd be very tough. So yep, that is it. The starter is on and in. Very happy with it all. Just a little bit of modification to these header here. You could probably get away with a different starter, not having to do that. This one's just rather large. When I talked to the guys at, I believe Jake's, where I bought this from, they said this is the one that they recommended based on their sales and everything. It's the one that everybody seems to get. So I went ahead and got that one. It's tried and true, but I don't know. I think there's probably a different one that's a little bit smaller that would have been a little bit better. But it is what it is. We made it work, and we learned how to dent in a header, which is pretty neat. And we are complete. So guys, thanks for all the support. If you guys want to go ahead and like this video and leave some comments of any tips and tricks below, that'd be greatly appreciated. And hopefully we can assist others along their Mustang restoration journey. Not getting a lot of views, which is fine, but to those of you guys that are, appreciated, and hopefully we can still keep everything positive for all those to come. Thanks guys.